All right. Welcome back to another episode of Payables and Jables, where us non-critics criticize the movies and TV shows that we watch. I'm JB,
Right?
and today we'll be covering season two, episode two of the HBO series The Last of Us. This episode is titled "Through the Valley." Bryant, let's just address the elephant in the room. The biggest thing that happened in this episode, and probably in the whole show so far, the apologies from Seth to Ellie. Wow, what a
Wow.
pivotal moment. I mean, that set the stage for the entire episode, the rest of the show. I thought it was a great apology.
Hey,
She
way to
didn't
own
take it
up
very
to it.
well.
Way to own up.
And
Yeah.
we don't hold up to. He made them steak sandwiches for their brutal trek through the wilderness. I mean, come on, man. Listen, the guy is an old man living in the zombie apocalypse. He's
Old
probably
fashioned. No,
he has his issues, but he apologized and he's a big man. No, I'm sorry, I'm just fucking around. Yeah, dude. Okay, I mean, let's talk about like
wild.
I did not see that coming. I somehow this did not get spoiled for me. Uh, through all the years that the game's been out. I forget what the game's been out since, what, 2019, I want to say,
Yeah, I
something like
think
that.
maybe 2019, I think. Yeah.
And I was so blown away when they killed Joel. I yeah, I oh, spoiler alert, by the way.
Absurd, dude.
Uh I like yeah, man, I never saw it coming. I thought they were gonna do some sort of like thing they do and everything where it's like, they get saved at the last minute. When it wasn't Ellie, I felt like as an infected was gonna, bust through the window and tackle Abby or whatever. And but no, man, he's dead.
He's dead. He's
He
dead.
is very dead.
Confirmed. Yes.
What are your thoughts? And I mean, obviously you knew this was coming. You played the game. But as someone who has played the game and knew it was coming, how was the scene for you? Like, do you think it worked watching it?
Yes. So, first, I want to say that when this game first came out, this was a game that I was very excited for. However, a couple of weeks before the game was actually released, there were enormous leaks. I'm talking 15, 20-minute segments of the entire game. And one of the parts that were released was Joel's death in the game.
Mm.
And the world hated it. It got absurd amounts of hate. And including from me. I did not like what I had seen at all. The way that they handled Joel's death. Um, and it took me a while to give the game a chance. And then when I finally got around to actually playing the game, it's definitely a great game, right? And that event is the inciting incident for all of season two. Everything that happens in season two revolves around Joel's death. And it's a pivotal moment. But in the game, the way they handled it is, like I said before, it happens within the first maybe hour and a half to 2 hours of the game. Like you finish the tutorial, bam, Joel's dead. And another thing is that there was no introduction to any of Abby's motives or why she was there. You get a quick tutorial with her and you're like, who is this girl? And then the first time Joel appears in game is when he is saving Abby's life. And then it proceeds to end with his death. And I hated the way that it was handled. And taking the backlash that they got from the game, I have to give Neil Druckmann credit because I did not ever think that they would have the balls or the strength of character to commit to the vision like this and kill him off almost exactly the same that they did in the video game in episode 2. I
Oh,
really
you thought they were gonna keep him around in the show.
I thought this was going to be a season finale of season 2 kind of thing.
I see. Okay.
And just because they got so much hate, dude. At one point,
Hmm.
the Metacritic score was below a 2 out of 10 for
Wow.
users because people were just hating this game. And this was
Hmm.
before the game even came out, right? And the actress that played Ellie in the video game got absurd amounts of death threats and just people hating on her, like direct mail and everything because of the way that Abby was portrayed in the video game. And that's kind of why I said that this was going to really test a lot of the actors if they go the route that the video game went last time. So it shocked me. I really thought that they were going to push it off. And actually, episode one, I thought confirmed that because the game opens with that mission with Ellie and Dina. So when they came back and nothing had happened, I thought, okay, they're definitely pushing this off, right? But then they switched things around. They changed a lot of little things here and there, revolving around Joel's death that we'll definitely get into a lot later.
Hmm.
But the big one is that the attack of the infected on Jackson never happens in the game.
Hmm.
And I thought that also added that extra layer, that extra sense of urgency as to why Joel would accept help from these strangers.
Yeah,
Uh, and
definitely.
yeah, for sure, right? So, I gotta give him props. I didn't like it in the game, and I'm not sure that I still like the way that it's being told narratively, but they fleshed out Abby, which was really important. Just a couple of scenes, just two or three scenes of Abby and showing how desperate she is to catch Joel or why she hates Joel. Really goes a long way to help like solidify that as a character, right? So, but yeah, overall, I respect them to for committing to that vision and still going through with it and having the balls to kill off Joel, not just Joel, but Pedro Pascal.
Well, yeah, and I think, well, and obviously the game, once the game came out and people actually played the game, I mean, it won game of the year, like you talked about. A lot of people really loved it. Like, from what I've heard and what you said, like it was a fantastic game. And most of the game, Joel is not, you're not playing as Joel. Um, we'll see if it works for the show.
Yeah,
We will see. I've seen a lot of stuff online about people being like, I was only here for Pedro Pascal, which is like,
yeah,
fine, that's whatever.
yeah,
Or, it's more like, wow, I love Joel. Like, how I can't see this going two more seasons, five more episodes this season and a whole other season of just Ellie and whoever, these other characters they've introduced. We'll see if it works for the show. Like, we'll see if they lose people. I think, I don't know, I believe in them. Like, I'm here. I'm gonna watch it. Uh, I believe in them, knowing that like the story was still amazing. I think if as long as they stick to that general narrative, and that we've already seen they change some things around, I think they'll be okay, and I still think it will be a fantastic show going forward. But I also understand people who are like skeptical, right? I think most people will probably tune in next episode, and if that doesn't grab them, I'm not expecting a banger of an episode like this. I mean, this was like most of this episode was action and like tense. I mean, there weren't many just like low key conversations. Like
yeah.
there was a lot going on. So I don't necessarily expect that next episode, but I could see a lot of people kind of giving up on the show if next episode doesn't grab them. And especially like people might stick with this season, but if it doesn't end the way, I don't know, if it doesn't end in a way that they like, I could see them kind of just giving up on it. So we'll
Yeah.
see. I'll be curious to see. I think, I mean, but whether or not the show is good on this from this point forward, this episode was incredible. Like
It
everything
was a
about it, I
crazy
thought was
episode.
absolutely incredible.
Insane episode.
I
Insane.
mean, this episode is like what fucking the episode of Game of Thrones when they beat all the White Walkers like
Yeah.
should have been like like and we'll get into the details, but like this zombie battle in this episode was amazing. Like
We
that I
asked for
thought,
more infected, and we got it, baby.
oh dude,
Oh,
they
we
gave
got
it
it.
to
We
us
got like three bloaters.
in hordes, literal hordes, like amazing. So
Yeah.
but let's and then all the Abby stuff, like
Yeah.
oh my god,
The
like
Dream. I thought the Dream was really good.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about the Joel scene in more detail. Well, and I think so. One of the things I do know about the difference between the game and the show is in the game, you're not introduced to Abby and like what her motives are, right? Like you're just
Right.
thrown in, you start playing as her, and then Joel saves you, and you don't actually know like what
Nothing.
her character is, what she's there to do until you're in the that room, like in that house, and she reveals that like I'm here to kill you because of what you did, right?
Not even. She just fucking goes off, dude. She actually one of the things is, she very little is said between them. He shows up and Joel basically introduces himself. He's like, I'm Joel. And then everybody's
Mhm.
like, oh, what the fuck? And then Abby turns around and blasts his leg with a shotgun, and then is about to give a speech. And this is something I wish they didn't change, but I get why they included monologue. But she's about to give a speech, but Joel's like, why don't you say whatever speech you've got rehearsed and get this over with? It was a badass line, bro.
I mean, they kind of did something
Yeah,
similar.
they did
Yeah, it's a
something.
little different. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yes, they kept the spirit of that. But I did think, the monologue is also pretty important just so that, people it makes an attempt for people to understand where Abby's coming from, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think so. And obviously, in the show, like this season starts out with Abby and those other Fireflies after Joel killed everyone, and like it's set that like oh they're going after Joel. I mean, I think the show did it really well. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I think in a video game you can do it where like yeah you're all of a sudden you're just introduced like you're just this new character and you're just playing as her and like yeah I think that's a cool way of doing that. I think the show like them fleshing out her character and like her motives I think worked totally well.
Yeah, it needed it, dude. Honestly, it was my
Yeah,
biggest gripe, and it was just, if they establish even a little bit of Abby's motivations before she shows up and kills this absolutely beloved character in this horrific way, in
yeah,
this absolutely brutal way, then I don't think it would have met like the amount of backlash. As a plot device, I like it, like having this character that Ellie really cares about and sending her off on this revenge journey, basically, like it could work. I just, that's kind of why I said there's a lot of things about the game that I'm excited to see what they change about for the show, because just narratively, there's a lot of things they tried and it was really ambitious, but I'm not really sure it worked. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I mean, the hate for Abby is warranted.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get where she's coming from. Like
Oh, for sure.
and I didn't know, and I don't know if this was implied or before in the show. If it was, I missed it. But like, she reveals that the doctor that he shot in the
Correct.
head was her dad.
Correct.
And when she said that, I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, now I really understand
Yeah.
why she wants to murder this dude in cold blood. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. And so, it's like you can hate Abby, but like, I mean, dude, think about
Yeah.
like, and I think the parallels between like, she killed Joel in front of Ellie, who was 19, and Abby was 19 when he killed all the Fireflies and her dad. So I think that's like an interesting parallel that they drew. Like, they were the
Yeah.
same age when they saw their father essentially get killed.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, and I think one of the interesting parts about that conversation between Abby and Joel in the show was like he makes a case at first, like I saved you, right? Like, and obviously anyone he saved her 15 minutes earlier, and then he gets murdered by the person he saved, which has to be brutal, by the way. Like, if you would have known, he just never would have saved her, let her get eaten.
Yeah.
Um, but and then she obviously says like, oh, that's not gonna stop me from doing this based on what you did, blah blah. And when she's explaining to him like why she's doing this, he starts subtly nodding. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's like nodding kind of, and to me that was him basically being like, yeah, I understand why you're doing this. And
Yeah.
he knew he did a fucked up thing and he did it because he wanted to save Ellie. And so we understand why he did that as well, right? Like all the motivations make total sense here. Make
Hmm.
total sense. But I think he kind of in that moment he starts accepting his fate that like, yeah, I mean, this girl's gonna kill me. There's not much I can do because there's five other people with guns. My
Yeah.
knee's fucking blown out by a shotgun. And I just thought that was like a really interesting part because it was just Joel being like, "Yeah, this is it."
Yeah.
And I feel like he kind of understood. Like, obviously, he's not accepting it, but I think he understood why she was doing this, and like
For
he
sure.
gets her motives. Yeah,
Yeah. And one thing that I did really like about this was that opening sequence with the dream that I mentioned before, where the younger self doesn't recognize the older self
yeah,
because of what I assume is like some of the shit that she's had to do to like get this point, or how far this revenge has like really driven her, where it's the point where like the kid that she used to be no longer recognizes her, and that wasn't a part of the game. There are some flashbacks where you see the younger Abby like walking up to and about to open the door to the surgery room, the operating room, to find her dad's body. But I really like this inclusion and this dialogue between the two characters here, where like I said last week, a big thing about this is revenge and like the
Yeah.
cost of revenge, right? So I thought it was a really good inclusion. Another thing, one difference between the game, a big difference, I would say, other than the attack on Jackson, which I do want to talk about, is
Yeah.
that in the game, when Joel is killed, it's not Dina with him, it's Tommy. And
It's
Tommy
Tom.
basically,
Wait.
yeah,
Wait. Sorry. So wait. Tommy is in the room
yeah,
when Joel gets killed.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Tommy's there when Joel is just brutally executed, right? And it adds that extra depth of loss for the character Tommy, but I did really like that because for me, there were a couple of things. So first, Joel and Tommy just introduce themselves and they openly invite these strangers to come back to Jackson with them. It's really, really stupid that a couple of veterans would never do. But here, Dina's a lot less experienced, and Dina doesn't know Joel is with anybody and just kind of calls out Joel. And that's how Abby realizes,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right.
But another thing was that, in the game, Joel and Tommy are two probably of like the strongest killers, you know, in the on that side of Wyoming. So for me, I was like, no matter how stupid or how weak, they should be able to take a couple of kids, effectively, right? And they're both taken out relatively pretty easily. I mean, Joel is pretty understandable. He's ambushed with a shotgun, right?
Yeah. Right. I mean, once you
But
get a shotgun to the knee
yeah,
from 10 feet away, you're kind
that's
of
GG's, yeah. But
yeah.
I did so I thought it was another good move to switch out Tommy with Dina, who's a lot less experienced,
Hmm.
and a lot more prone to making, a couple of mistakes, and they just have her get shot up with medicine. Whereas in the game, Tommy gets the shit beaten out of him and
Mm.
he gets knocked out. And so I thought that was also a good change.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, I mean, Joel is so preoccupied with the what's going on
Getting
at
back to
in the
Jackson.
in this
Exactly.
town. He's
Exactly.
got like yeah, he's going in kind of like I don't know. I don't think like all his senses, like he's not
Exactly.
at 100%. He's not thinking,
He's,
right?
he's
Because he would
distracted.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's smart enough to not like do this. Like, oh, do you have supplies in place? Yeah, we're armed. It's like immediately he'd be like, who are these people? Like, and
Yeah.
why are they a mile and a half from the town? Like, what are they doing here?
Exactly.
but dina's
Exactly.
but dina's like freezing, right? Like, she's getting frostbite, so like they have to get the zombies are there, so they have to leave. They have no choice. If they stay there, they die. And Dina said this: if they
Hmm.
go to Jackson Hole, they
Hmm.
die because they'll probably freeze.
Hmm.
This is his only option, and I think that
Yeah.
worked so well. That made so much
Unbelievably
sense in
well.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 100% agreed. And that was the biggest change where that attack on Jackson served as this sense of urgency for Joel for being like, don't really care what's going on, don't care who these people are. They need help. We need to get the fuck back
Yeah.
ASAP.
And he's
You
like,
know?
get your guns and let's go. Right.
Yeah, like doesn't
Essentially.
even ask any questions. He's
Yeah.
completely distracted. He has one goal, and it's to make sure that his brother is safe, that Ellie is safe, and that Jackson is safe. And I thought that
Yeah.
was a really good inclusion. They took that, and so for me, it was, they took some of the biggest criticisms and the nitpicking details surrounding Joel's death, and as all of, a couple of really little details here and there that add up to kind of a pretty big, like full of holes plot device, and they turned it into an pretty awesome spectacle. And I thought that was really great. And they basically turned this into a giant, massive, massive scene where the people are defending themselves. Jackson shows what they're capable of, basically being able to fend off like thousands of zombies. And it served as a good excuse for Joel and as to why he got killed. So
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, and I don't have an issue with Joel being served up to them on a silver platter because it made sense. Like, it all kind of made sense. Like, just the order of things. they're on patrol. She's running from a horde of zombies. He finds her, saves her. His name
Yeah,
gets called out. They go back to the lodge, and that's
yeah.
it, right? And I don't have any issue with that. I think it all makes total sense.
Yeah, one other thing that I liked that they included in the game that wasn't, or included from the show, in the show that wasn't in the game was the conversations between Abby's people, where basically they were like, "Yo, like this is impossible. Let's go home."
Hmm.
You know? And
Yeah,
there was a lot of doubt surrounding that group, and I always liked the uh like that trope of basically like fate delivered, and it was, basically everything went against them. It was, Joel, the perfect storm happened that led Joel to them. They were about to leave. They were hours from trying to convince Abby to go home, and even the point where Ellie had wanted to go with Joel on patrol, but he had already left with Dina. Just
yeah,
little, just misfortunes come here and there that basically, that you can't help but feel like it was meant to be, And but I really
yeah.
like that conversation amongst that group where they were like, "Nah, fuck this, dude. Like this."
Yeah, he's like the plan is that I'm going to convince her not to do this because we're
Yeah,
all. I thought when I actually laughed when they were all waking up and then they saw the town in the day and each single one of them were like fuck, like all five of them said it. They're like fuck because they saw it
yeah,
at night and they didn't realize how big of a like it's like a fortified city with like
dude, it's a
walls
lot
and
bigger than,
guards and
yeah, it's a
yeah.
lot bigger than I thought as well. It was massive. Oh
It
my,
was. It was. I thought that was
yeah,
cool seeing that from like high above. Yeah, you get a good
yeah,
vantage. But I thought I actually laughed on like the fifth one. I was like, oh my God. They're just all like, yeah, fuck this. This is
yeah. What
bullshit. Like
the
we're
fuck?
like Abby, we get it, but we're all just we're gonna die.
Yeah,
And then it all changed. I before we move on off from the scene, I will say I thought Bella Ramsey's performance in that scene I thought was incredible. I don't
well
think you could
done,
have done it any better. Like
well
that
done,
was gut wrenching.
well done.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. I thought Caitlin Dever's performance was amazing as well. I
Yeah,
thought she did a really
very
good
good.
job. I mean, everyone was good, but like them two, I mean, they knocked it out of the park. They
Yeah.
really did.
Absolutely. Bella Ramsey her performance was unbelievable. Just the pain. But yeah, and like I said, dude, this is gonna test her. Like
Yeah.
this isn't even her hardest scene. There are gonna be some moments that are really, really gonna test her as an actor. So we'll have to see. There are some intense moments that should be happening in this season. If I'm tracking it right, then I think I have a pretty good idea if they are pretty faithful to the game, which they have been so far, then I think I have a second guess as to where it's going to end. But yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, she's really good. One funny thing I want to say is, so in the game, Abby is yoked.
Hmm.
She is like she might be like 5'11", like 180 pounds for a girl, and she's just jacked, right? Caitlin Dever, I think, right?
I
Is
think
the
so.
exact
I've been
exact
saying
the
Dever.
exact opposite. She's like maybe
Yeah.
5 feet tall, maybe 100 pounds. Looks really tiny, especially compared to like a lot of the other people in the group. She's like by far the shortest.
Hmm.
It was kind of funny to me, seeing her like punching Joel and it having such a devastating effect. Where I was like, I'm not sure in real life. I don't know if a girl that tiny would be able to cause that much havoc with just her fists. I don't know, but
Well, I mean, well, I mean,
she's
listen,
just
like
wailing away, dude. And I was
you,
like,
she's full of revenge fueled
yeah,
rage, and I mean, yeah, her hand was probably fucked up.
yeah,
But I mean, at some point, like your face is more, your face. Anyone's face is softer than anyone's fist. So at some point, like I mean, if it's someone just on the ground like Joel, he's already been like tortured. He's just, I mean, he's what's he gonna do? And like I don't know. I mean, I thought that was believable, but yeah. I mean, I would like to see her hand because she honestly she may have like broken a finger or two, like the way like how hard she was going on him and for how long. But
yeah.
I think I don't know, man. I think they've established her like she has. I don't know if it's control over the group, but she definitely is
She's the
like
leader.
a leader,
Yeah.
the leader. Maybe her and the guy are like co-leaders in a way. But I mean, she was telling him to shut the fuck up and like all this stuff. Like they definitely respect her.
Yeah.
So yeah, where while she's not like physically imposing in this show. I think they've established her enough where like I mean, she's a badass, and like we already seen her survive, that whole zombie thing, and so I mean, I don't know. I think like they established the respect that her crew has for her, and I think that's all you kind of need going forward, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
I thought it was believable enough, especially after this episode. Like we just saw her torture a person. She's like you said, like she's changed. Like this changed her for sure. Like she's
Yeah.
a different person now going forward. And I'm just I'm curious to see what they do with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's all right, so do you want to talk about the battle or do you want to talk about let's talk about the battle.
Okay.
Let's talk about the battle. Dude, I mean, yeah, this battle was fucking awesome. Like I said, this is what Game of Thrones wanted to do, and they severely messed it up. Like this was so good, I thought, with just seeing like this horde of zombies, hundreds, just running at them. I thought like the way they did it with the one guy was like watching out and he like kept looking, and then they just like emerged from the snow, and then at the same time the guy's cutting the pipe, right? And like the tendrils come out, like the fungus comes
Yeah.
out, and then it all kind of just goes from there. I thought like they timed that all really well, because it also they finally brought the whole like tendril network thing to life. Like we finally saw it actually do something because they knew where the zombies knew where to go, where to attack because of the fungus that was in the pipe in the town. So I thought they did that really well as well. But yeah, man, like this battle scene was just awesome. Like the defense tactics, like I
Yeah.
just thought it was all really well done.
The barrels,
The
you got
barrels,
Tommy taking out a bloater with a flamethrower.
dude.
So
Yeah,
sick.
yeah. It
Let's
was
go,
funny. So
Tommy.
the one podcast I listened to, they were talking about that, and they were basically saying how this is essentially like damage over time in the video game, right? Like he's just spray unloading a whole canister of flamethrower on him, and
Yeah.
you think he takes it and he's just gonna kill him, and then he like finally falls because it's just like the damage over time, like he's on fire and you slowly see his health going down. I
Yeah.
thought that was really, really funny, and then like, yeah, it makes total sense. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
I would have not believed it if the bloater did not like he got through a whole
Just sur
canister.
just
Like,
survive. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Well, okay, so what are your thoughts on the bloater like essentially punching a hole through like these logs that made up the gate?
Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I would actually think that they would be way more sturdy than that.
I would think the bloater
But
wouldn't be as strong as that.
yeah. Well, I thought, yeah, I like the fact that these giant logs just kind of gave in to a bloater
Like a
punching.
mushroom person. Yeah.
Pretty nuts, yeah. But I will say, when I saw the infected just, attacking the town, I thought that was GG's, bro. I was like, oh, that's it.
You thought the whole
Jackson
town
was
was
over.
done.
I thought Jackson was over,
Yeah.
you
Put the
know.
town on alert. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
but they
and
were able to
it's
mow 'em down.
well, yeah, and I mean, like obviously you said that didn't happen in the game, so you could
Yeah,
have maybe seen like Tommy or Maria, like any of them dying, right? Like it
yeah,
was kind of all up for grabs
yeah,
at some point.
yeah. And they've taken couple of things that have happened in the game already. And they have just kind of like switched around the timing or like switched out a character here and a character there. But there's a lot of death in The Last of Us Part 2. A lot of characters die. So,
Hmm.
I'm curious to see if, they switch up the timing with that or, or substitute characters out. And instead of having this important character die, having this character die and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. Again, I do hope that they continue to change things. There's a couple of other things that happen in the video game that I'm not too big of a fan of, so we'll have to see.
What do you think of what do you think of their like the town's defense tactics
Um,
with the barrels, and then they had
I
the
like the
cars
barrels
and
a
the
lot.
tractor.
I like the wall. I like the wall of fire.
Yep,
Um,
and you got to keep it away from the gate
yeah.
because your gate's gonna catch on fire. It's all like
I
timber.
I will say though, having just like a line of people just standing there on the street and then doing their best to hold people back. When they were running, I was like, Tommy's dead, dude. Tommy's so dead. There's like a
Well,
hundred.
especially when the two guys dipped on
Yeah.
them.
Is it like 100 infected running at them and they're just running around them? I was like, all right, cool. Like, all
Yeah,
right.
that part I
Yeah.
had a problem with. That
They're
didn't
just
make
all
sense.
running around them. And I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
didn't
I
get
want him
that.
to, yeah.
It's almost like the bloater called him out. He's like, "No, he's mine. Don't touch
Yeah.
him."
And
You know what I mean? It was
nobody
weird.
else
Yeah,
cared. Yeah. I was like, all
yeah.
right.
That part I didn't love. So I agree, but I thought like overall like it was pretty smart what they did. I
Yeah.
mean, I thought they And then like they had, if they got through, they had everyone on the roofs. No one's on the ground
Mhm.
floor. Everyone's bunkered
Well,
who can't protect themselves. We had people on the roofs. I mean, it made a lot of sense. I mean, once the infected started like getting in and they got up top, I was like, oh, they're F. Like this is done.
oh yeah, I
But
thought,
they made it through.
yeah,
They made it through. I'll be curious to see the death count. I really will, like, because I have no concept of how many people actually died.
yeah,
There were a lot of bodies, but I think a lot of that was infected. But plenty of people could have gotten bit, and they had to kill him. Like that one guy, he showed his hand. I thought that
yeah,
was a pretty powerful scene, and he just hands him the gun.
yeah,
So I'll be really curious to see like what the damage actually was.
yeah. I'm pretty curious to see how Tommy will react to Joel's death since he
Oh
doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
I'm really curious to see the fallout because that
Yep.
was a really sad part of the game, and they definitely put a pretty big emphasis on the whole fallout. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have to
No,
see.
I totally agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
One
really looking
thing,
forward to that.
one thing the show did change though was so in the game, uh, Joel or Ellie and Dina leave on a mission, and basically it opens with the whole game opens with Jesse waking up Ellie to go on a mission with Dina. And she goes and they go through this supermarket, just kind of similar to what we saw in episode one, except with a couple of changes. Um, but then they make their scout out to Eugene's place. So that whole everything that happened with Jesse actually happens with Dina, and it's still the very first mission of the game. Um,
Hmm.
but a couple of things that I really wish they kept was in the game. Ellie tells Dina that she had plans to invite Joel over to watch a movie together. And knowing the tension between the two, they kind of substituted it with, her telling Jesse that, they're like, whatever, they're good or whatever. But I do wish that kind of added that part because for me, it's like, when Joel died, I'm like, shit, but he was supposed to go watch a movie with Ellie and everything was supposed to be okay. But they cut that part out.
Yeah.
Uh, but I do wish they kept that little part. But also, when they get to Eugene's, who's way more fleshed out in the show. In the game, he's just like a 80-year-old dude who had just passed away from natural causes. But they find a bunch of weed and her and Dina smoke it and they talk and they basically hook up that night. But it helps to flesh out that relationship as well. And I was a little sad that they cut that out.
Yeah.
Kate's a really important character. So, but so is Jesse, and Jesse doesn't really
Yeah.
get out that well in the game. So, I was just gotta make sacrifices here and there, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I'm curious why they made that swap with the pairings who went out on the patrols, like you said.
Yeah.
Like it was Ellie, Jesse, and Dina and Joel. I mean, I think it worked. But I don't exactly know why they did that. I mean, one reason I could see is like, well, like when Jesse and Ellie find out that Dina and Joel are not responding on the radio, I mean, these are like the two people that Ellie cares about the most in the world, right? As of right now, right? So it's like, of course, they're going to go out and try to find them, right? Because they probably shouldn't have done that. Like in hindsight, like in reality, like Jesse and Ellie probably should have just stayed. Um, anyone would go like try to find the people they love, right? But like, they probably should have just stayed bunkered until they heard more.
Yeah.
Because they're just going out in this blizzard and like, there's just a lot going on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's why they made that swap just to like for those
I
motivations to
wish,
make more sense. But
I wish Ellie fucking stepped up in that moment, dude, and saved Joel. You know, that's what I want. I wish she was able to step up and just take him out and save Joel's ass. But it happened exactly the way it did in the game, though. She just opens the door and then she's taken out immediately, and it
yeah,
crushed. I was like, damn it.
yeah. I mean, she gets a slice on the one guy, so that was,
Yeah.
she had a
The
nice
second
little
I
like,
saw I saw them yanking her, I was like, oh damn it. No, he's
yeah,
dead. He's so fucked.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, but I think yeah, the Eugene stuff. So we still don't know
Yeah.
the whole specifics of Joel killing him.
Yeah.
We got a little more information that he was like a veteran, he was a Firefly, but he gave that up because he wasn't like proud of what he did, blah blah blah. So
I
I hope I feel like in the show they're I mean, these last two episodes they've given information on him and that thing. So I do feel like that will come to light, like what actually happened.
Yeah.
But I hope we get that because I'm really interested in that.
It's pretty cool that I don't know at all
Hmm.
because it made him a much more prominent character. I did see a couple of theories about how, and the one that I really like that somebody said that um was that because he used to be a Firefly, he had somehow found out that Ellie was either immune or what Joel did back at the thing, and that's why Joel killed him, even though he didn't necessarily have to, or something like that.
Hmm.
I kind of like that. I hope that one comes to be. I think that would go a long way. One in just fleshing out that character of Eugene more, but also just going, just affirmating how far Joel is willing to go to make sure that
Yeah,
Ellie, you know.
yeah, yeah. I actually saw that theory as well. And I mean, and when Ellie and Jesse are talking about it, her response is interesting,
Yeah.
right? He's like,
Very
"Yeah,
guilty.
tough way to go," and she's like, "Yeah," and I was like, there's a lot more here that we don't know." Yeah,
Looks guilty as shit.
yeah, yeah.
But another something that adds weight to that is that in the game, Ellie keeps a bit like a little journal thing, and in one of the excerpts of the journal is that her just writing a little snippet, being like, "Oh, Eugene used to be a Firefly. Does he know? No, no way. He would have done something." Like in like a little excerpt on like the
Hmm.
bottom of the journal. And that kind of makes me think that Neil Druckmann got that idea and is kind of running with that in the show, which would be a good idea.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. What else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about the infected a little more. So, what were your thoughts on the whole concept of like the infected using a dead layer of infected uh as like almost it was like permafrost, right? Like they were keeping them from freezing by
Yeah,
using
like
this like dead
insulation.
layer.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I thought that was really clever.
Yeah. I hive mind, right? So it adds to that hive mind aspect.
Yep.
That was really clever. I was not them coming out of the snow was a part of the game, so I was kind of expecting that.
Okay.
But I mean, holy crap, dude. This is like, have you ever played that other zombie game with the guy that voice acts Darth Maul? What the heck was it?
I don't know.
Oh, you like ride a bike across
Oh, is that like Days Gone or
Days
something like
Gone.
that? I had not played that. No.
Is it Days Gone? So
Or I know what you're talking about. It's
yeah,
like the cover is like a dude on a bike with like
yeah,
a Harley, and there's a bunch of zombies. Yeah.
yeah. But so in that game, when you're fighting zombies, you are fighting hundreds of zombies,
Hmm.
And The Last of Us, it was like at max, you were taking on like 15 infected at once, And oh my gosh, today I was like, dude, this is like Days Gone levels of zombie.
Yeah.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean it was like World War Z kind of like
Yeah,
zombie
World War
horde. I mean,
Z is another one. Yeah.
and they were so like the runners were just like slamming their heads into the wall
Yeah.
of the compound. Like, I mean, they didn't give a fuck. Like they were just
Yeah.
going, and it was. I mean, it's terrifying, dude. Like it was terrifying to watch, but it
I'm
was
not gonna
amazing.
I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but there's one new type of zombie that was introduced in the second game, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, dude.
Let's hope we see it. I mean,
And
they
we are definitely getting it. I think this season. I think
yeah.
it's gonna be crazy.
I'm almost wondering if like, all right, we hit our quota for zombies in the first two episodes. We're gonna take a break for a few, and then we'll bring them back. Like, I don't think we're gonna get this many zombies in every episode. I mean, this one was
I
like an exception, but
Yeah, I agree if it's like this horde level, but
yeah,
I would like them to be a consistent part of the show, like
sure,
in the first season I kind of wish, that they took on like one or two zombies almost every episode, but whatever.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, no, I mean, so I thought all that was really well done. I thought, I mean, it looked amazing, like just the visuals, the shots. Like I thought it was all. Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was they just knocked it out of the park.
I I think this was one of the best episodes of the entire show. I think
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
not just for the action, but I almost I think I liked almost every change from the game. And this is the first time where I have felt like, oh, like every change they made was for the better. And
Hmm.
it not only improved upon it did improve upon the game. You know, it's not just a retelling, but it's an improvement upon the actual video game. And I have to say, I think this is the first scene that I think the show might have done better than the actual video game itself. So where I probably didn't feel like that at all the entirety of season one.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that, you know, it was a really, really great episode. And the fact that they're not getting death threats and people just blasting the show, I'm sure they are, you know, there are haters all the time. I'm sure there
Yeah.
are some people, but I think overall this was pretty well received as well, you know, in terms of how the death was handled. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen the same thing. Um, what about the whole Abby scene? So before, you know, she sees I think it was Joel and Dina. Like she's kind of doing a watch. She's free, you know, she's freezing, visibly freezing. And then I think it's Joel and Dina. Yeah, yeah, because Ellie and Jesse are like held up in the weed
Yeah.
weed room. So yeah, so she sees them, she starts like following them, and she falls down, you know, she
Yeah.
slides down this hill. And then all of a sudden she finds herself amongst all these frozen infected, which was super creepy. I love that. And then they start moving. You're like, what the fuck? And then you realize like they're like the ground around her is falling and like infected are coming, like living infected are coming out. So she
Yeah.
starts sprinting. She gets to this, you know, whatever. I don't know where they were, like where she ended up finding Joel. But when she climbs the ladder and then she's
Trapped
crawling
between the
the
fence.
fence, dude,
Yeah.
I had so much anxiety. Like I wanted that scene to be over so bad. Like her crawling, like when they showed it from her viewpoint, how much more like fence she had that she had to get through, and it was just collapsing of infected. I dude,
Yeah.
that scene was rough for me to watch, but it was incredible.
Directly from the game too, like moment by moment, up to where Joel saves her, and he's like, "Give me your hand."
Yeah,
Directly from like scene by scene, dude. Really, really well done.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was incredible. I thought like that detail like of they showed the one zombie like they were like moving their hand through the fence so hard that it was like cutting into the
Yeah.
hand, the top of the hand. I was like, man, this just shows like how like bloodthirsty these infected are. Like it is crazy. So yeah, I thought that was all like just so intense and so well done. And it was like it was weird because I knew what Abby was out there to do. She's out there to like kill like, you know, my like one of the main characters from the show. But I was still like rooting for her to get out of that moment. Like I didn't want her to die in that moment.
Yeah.
And it was I don't know, I had a weird conflict of interest in my head. I was like, well, if she dies, like there is no chance that she kills Joel, but like
Yeah.
I don't want her to die. Like, and I also didn't know the way I thought it was going to happen was I actually thought Ellie was going to save Abby. Like I thought she was going to run into Ellie first, and she was going to. I kind of mentioned this in our last week. Like I thought she was going to tell Ellie about what Joel did, and then that you know this is all obviously before I knew that Joel was going to die in front of Ellie. But I thought that's so when like you know she got saved, I was like, this could be Ellie, it could be Joel, it could be someone else, and it ended up being Joel, which made total sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, so up until that point, I don't know, I was rooting for Abby because I didn't know what was going to happen after that.
Yeah, I do think it is I think that would have been a really interesting route. And I could have seen them. And I almost think that that was a conversation that they had where they were like, what if Ellie, just because of how much backlash they got initially, you know, again, I'm just so
Yeah,
surprised that they actually followed through with this and did it. So I think that alone is really crazy. I would have been really interested to see what that relationship between Ellie and Abby would have been before the inciting incident. But
hmm,
another thing that I would have really liked to have seen was at least a couple more interactions, you know, maybe like one mission or a flashback between Joel and Ellie where they have to like where they work together or something before He dies, you know. The game does include like one scene before the time skip with Joel and Ellie, and for whatever reason, the show decided to cut it out. I guess we could get it later, but you know, it's a really cute scene between the two of them. That just kind of reminds everybody how close they were, you know.
Hmm.
And I wish, you know, I'm sure that we might get it in a scene, but you know, again, you know,
Yeah.
the guitar is a huge theme of The Last of Us 2. They have yet to really introduce it yet, so I'm still waiting on that.
Yeah, I think I fully expect us to get flashbacks
Oh,
over the course of this season. So I don't think like Joel's not out of the show. I think
yeah.
you will see Pedro Pascal again, so
Oh,
relax.
yeah.
Like you're gonna get flashbacks. He's gonna be in it.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, like I think just I think that's people should stick around and see what they actually get because I think you've mentioned the flashbacks and I think that could add a lot to yeah just the story and Ellie's character going forward as now
They're
she
gonna
is
be heartbreakers, bro. They're
yeah
gonna
man I mean she's carrying the torch now. She's
Yeah.
carrying the torch.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah.
she's the main character. I mean, and I've seen people say that they don't think Bella Ramsey's a good actress. I think watch this episode and you watch that Joel death scene. If you still think the same way, I don't think you know what good acting looks like. I'm sorry, but like, I mean, I thought that set the stage for. I think she'll be able to pull this off. We'll see. Time will tell. But
Oh, we'll have to see. You know, I think this was, you know, she did a good job with this performance today for or
yeah,
this episode for sure. We'll have to see. You know, I'm pretty excited to see what she can do. You know, like I said, you know, she's about to get tested for sure. Not just like in how she handles like crying and like just being like sad, but you know, there are some like really intense moments. Real like there's a big thing about the game is that they don't want you to feel like anybody is right. You know, like there's no
mm,
such thing as right and wrong. Like everybody's in the wrong, you know, and revenge as a path itself is wrong, you know. So it's, you know, like, you know, we're gonna see a lot of good people die, you know, a lot of good people do bad things and people that deserve to die not necessarily die and who deserve to live end up dying as well, you know. So you know it's going to be a really interesting show that really it's the whole thing is about moral complexity.
yeah,
And because she lost this crucial person in her life and you know to us as well, you know, like the lengths that she is willing to go that the viewer understands. But you know it's going to be, you know, it's about to get intense, dude. Like this is like the very first step, you know. Like
yeah,
episode 1 was just rainbows and butterflies. So,
yeah. It was yeah.
yeah.
The whole plot of episode one was her and Joel don't like each other right now. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I do have a few more things I want to
Sure.
bring up. So Dina, she has frostbite, and that was not addressed at all. So I'll be curious to see like what happened, in this next episode if they address that because they get to the well former Fireflies. I don't know, I forget what they call themselves now, but they get to like
WLF.
the yeah they get to the lodge, and none of them know except Abby know that this is Joel. So they're like, oh, we'll help you. And the kind of medic girl like takes her glove. She's like, you have frostbite. We're gonna have to like soak this, blah blah blah. And then as soon as Abby says, and this is Joel, that's when everything changes. And then it went from let's help this girl to nah, fuck it, we're gonna put her to sleep and kill Joel and then leave. So I don't know. Is like Dina gonna lose her
I
hand? Like I'm curious to see what happens there. I hope they address that.
I
Uh,
think it was more of a reason for Joel to accept their offer to go back to the mansion because she was like basically
Agreed.
in death. Yeah.
I
So
just hope they don't like totally blow over it and like
I think
they
they
just
will.
act like there was no frostbite. Because dude, like I mean, if that's not taken care of, you could lose your hand.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. Minor thing, but I agree. I mean, it was like, oh, he's helping us. They're helping us. Like, and just another reason for him to totally look past it and just focus on the battle going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. Another thing. So uh, this is more of like just I don't expect you to know the answer, but with the cordyceps, like with how this works, like it seems to make the infected like stronger and faster and just like overall more like aggressive. I'm curious, like how that works. Like, how is it making? so it's a human that it's infecting, right? So it's their same body. Like, how is it making them faster and stronger? And I
Yeah,
don't, yeah, it's more just kind of like an interesting thing that I
good
thought
question.
about.
So the game, it doesn't. The only
Okay.
reason that the bloater is stronger than normal is just because it's been so long for that infected that the mushroom has like basically like really densed up and gotten out of control. But like this bloater punched a hole through a log, bro.
Yeah,
Bunch of
dude.
logs, like giant ass logs,
Like a
So
superhero. Like,
yeah, it's
yeah,
not. Yeah, I don't necessarily know about having super strength, but the bloaters in this one, they're definitely portrayed as like these like superhuman things. So,
yeah.
but I would say, that is a little bit of a difference. There's a whereas in the game, they are literally just people with mushrooms growing out of them, and
Hmm.
the only thing that makes them a little stronger is that they have completely lost their minds. So
Right. They're just like, yeah, it's just
insanely crazy.
all they
Yeah.
care about is like getting the person.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll go at any length. I understand that. But I mean, I do feel like this was the first episode where we saw like, again, it was like World War Z level. Like they were running so fast and then just head first into this wall and they just kept going. And I don't know, it just made me, and then, yeah, the bloater thing, I was like, I don't know, man. This at the end of the day, these are like mushroom people. Like, I don't understand where this strength is coming from.
Yeah.
So,
Yo,
but
but I will say we're about to see something monstrous, probably at the end of season 2, and this thing is indeed superhuman. So, if you thought the bloater is bad, we're about to see something crazy, dude.
I'm excited. And the last thing I got, the dogs. I thought that was a really cool scene when they released the dogs
Yeah.
in the town. It was like their last defense, and they just fuck
Yeah.
up some infected. I thought that was cool.
Dogs are about to be another big thing about this. So, we'll have to see.
All right. Well, they set up a lot of stuff then.
Yeah.
Set up a lot of stuff.
Oh, baby. We're in the juice now, bro. It's about to get nuts. Yeah.
Hey, even if you don't think the show's going to be continue to be good, you should watch it just so you can watch and listen to our podcast every week, right?
Yeah.
If that's not incentive enough, come on, you know,
Yeah.
watch it for us.
Please. Please.
Yeah. You have anything else in this episode?
Uh, let's see. We talked about Eugene, which was something that I definitely wanted to touch upon. Um, Flashbacks are something that I'm really excited for. What's a character that you are hoping to see get more developed moving forward? What's a
Ooh,
character
good
that you
question.
like now that you haven't really feel like you haven't seen too much of?
I definitely like Jesse. Definitely like Jesse. So I definitely hope to see, a lot more of him, see him get developed. I like Tommy a lot too.
Yeah. Tommy's
Now
huge.
because now he's kind of like I mean, I feel like it's almost overlooked. Like, obviously, Joel to Ellie was Ellie's father figure, and they've been through so much. But man, like, this is Tommy's brother, dude.
Yeah.
And now, like, they were away for apart for so long, and then the last 5 years they've been together in this community, and they've been doing like amazing work. And so like you said, like, I'm really looking forward to Tommy's reaction. Well, looking forward to it, and also I know it's gonna be super sad. So like it's bittersweet, but I definitely hope to see Tommy a lot more. I don't know if that's where they go with the story. Like, I fully expect. I know so this is just me riffing, but I fully expect Ellie to like leave with certain people and go after Abby and them, and that's what starts the next adventure. And is Tommy a part of that or not? I have a hard time right now seeing Tommy leaving Jackson Hole because his family's there, but I don't know.
Just
I could
lost his
all
brother.
he did, but his son and wife are still there, right? So, and I mean, the other thing is like I could see them kind of having two storylines going, like Ellie, and then also like keeping. I wouldn't mind like checking in on Jackson Hole periodically and having some sort of plot line going on there. I think because like I think it's a really interesting idea. Like, this is the community that's, I mean, for all intents and purposes, thriving as much as you can in a zombie apocalypse. So I would like to see more of that and more of them. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So definitely Jesse and Tommy. And I guess I mean, I'm excited to see like what how much like Abby do we get, and like what will our relationship to Abby be at the end of this season, and like
Yeah.
any of the other people she's with, like do we get more of them? Like I think they're a really interesting group, and I think Abby's a really interesting character, especially after like what we just saw and like see how she changes. So I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited to see more of Tommy this season. He's a big part of the game, so and
Okay.
I don't think they're gonna switch that out. And then
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think the interesting thing that I'm curious to see is the fallout for Abby's side. You know, now that she's got this guy that she's been chasing for 5 years. I know again, you know, she wasn't super well fleshed out until, a little bit a while after Joel's death. So I think that, this is a really interesting period that wasn't included in the game where we get to see, how, the fruits of her labor and how she feels and her coming to terms with
Yeah.
her death and everything. So
And like how do her, you know, squad mates, whatever you want to call them, how do they like look at her after what I mean, she tortured the shit out of Joel. Like it was, I mean, it got to the point like, and you could visibly see how like uncomfortable some of them were
yeah, and
with
I
the whole
like that.
thing. I like
Yeah.
that too. I like that too. And the one guy's like, all right, end it. Like that's enough. Like just end it
Yeah.
and let's go. So, did they look at her differently? Like, I feel like you almost have to. Like she said, like we want to go and kill him, and now it's like she tortured him, and
Yeah.
it's just
And
different.
I also liked that the only reason that Ellie survived is because, they were good people, essentially. They're
They have a
like not
code.
trying to, yeah, they're not trying to
Yeah.
kill somebody who's not involved in this, and they only wanted to kill Joel. And otherwise this could have totally been like, why the fuck would you leave her alive? But it's like, they're just trying to kill one guy. They're not trying to hurt anybody else. They're just trying to, get revenge for what happened to their.
Yeah. Although, you know, that's what led to Joel's downfall. If he killed the nurses, I'm not saying he should have, but if he killed the nurses, no
True.
one ever would have been able to tell.
True. If he
Yep.
just fucking killed
So
everybody.
if
Yeah,
he killed
that's
everyone there, I mean, at least those are the people we saw. Like those are
yeah.
the people we saw he kept alive. So if he killed them, they never would have known who it was, no description, and he never would have gotten found.
He fucking
And
loves the
so,
survivors. And
so
now the same thing's about to happen to them. Now
yep.
the
And
same thing's about to
they
happen to
don't
them.
think Ellie's a threat, and she's definitely a threat.
Yeah.
So what I am also, and again, you probably know this. I'm also curious to see like how do they even know where to go to find these people? Like, did they leave something behind? Is it Dina? She while she was in her, state of being knocked out, like did she hear bits and pieces like or right before she left about like where they're going or like a name or something like some information that she can like remember that puts them on the trail of these people. I'm really curious to see.
She did notice the patch on their backpack.
She did. That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yes, you're right. Okay, well then maybe that's it.
Clue number
Yeah,
one.
she
Clue
did.
number one, baby.
Clue number one. I was
Yeah.
also thinking they could just go back to the lodge and just follow footsteps through the snow, but I think the other snow would just cover it up. But
It was quite a big storm. Maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, how the hell did, and maybe we find out more about this, but like, how did Abby and them even find Joel? Like, how did they
That's my
track
question.
down?
Like, I get you had a description, okay, but it's not necessarily like it's not something you can just Google being
This
like,
isn't
where the
Skyrim where you go
yeah.
around town to town asking information on,
And people
hey,
have
did you
just
see?
heard,
Yeah, did you see this elf, dark elf? Did he come?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, he
you
stayed
know,
here last night. Like, you're in a zombie apocalypse. Like, how the hell did they track him down?
yeah. That's my question. I'm like, I understand that you got a name and a description, but how the hell did you find out that he's
From
living
Salt Lake to Jackson Hole.
yeah,
I mean,
to fucking Wyoming, bro? I'm like,
yeah. And it took them 5 years to find
yeah.
him. Well,
And I'm
actually, I
like,
don't know. I guess I don't.
yes.
I don't know when that scene when we see Abby and them like at the gravesite, was that right after he killed all them? I don't know.
I think so.
I think it was implied that it was right, and then
Yeah.
and then they went 4 or 5 years. So I mean, I don't know, man. They had Batman on their side, dude. World's greatest detective. Like,
I'm just like, I get you got a name. I get you got a name. Oh, one thing I did not like was I did think that when her being like, "Oh yeah, yeah, apparently he's handsome," and then
Mm.
throwing in the whole handsome line, I thought that was a little cringy,
Yeah, that was a little cringy.
and then when she's like, "And you are pretty handsome."
She's like, congrats on that. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Why don't you
I don't.
just cut that out? Why? Who added that line? I was like,
Yeah, that was kind of weird. Like, I don't know why they added that. I don't really like. We all know Pedro Pascal's handsome. You don't need to
yeah.
say it in the show.
I was
Like,
like,
it's
when she said it at first, I was like, and then when she threw it back at him when she saw him again, I was like,
yeah. At this point, I kind of hope she just says it in every episode going forward. Like, she just always makes a reference to how handsome. She's like, man, he was really handsome. You know, like I beat the hell out of him, but like, damn, he was a handsome guy. Uh
oh
man.
man, yeah,
Anything else?
not on my end, brother.
I think we're at a good stopping point. Well, I'm really excited for next week.
Yeah,
I hope people stick around. We'll see what happens. Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you like this episode of Pables and Jables, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content. And as always, comment below for other movies, TV shows, things you want to hear us non-critics criticize. And that's it for this week. Thanks all.
peace.
Peace.